रोज बांग्लादेश से बहुत ही बुरी खबर आती है। ऐसी परिस्थिति में हमने देखा कि चिन्मय कृष्ण दास एक पूरे माइनॉरिटीज मूवमेंट का वो फेस बन गए थे।
Sheikh Hasina took Yunus government head-on amid growing violence against Hindus in Bangladesh and arrest of ISKCON leader Chinmoy today. She slammed the Yunus government for arresting Chinmoy and demanded his immediate release. She also drew attention to the burning of temples in Chittagong and attacks on Hindus. She demanded strict punishment for those responsible for the murder of lawyers in Chittagong. She also said that if Yunus government fails to punish these terrorists, they will be held accountable for human rights violation. Sheikh Hasina also called on the people of Bangladesh to stand united against terrorism and militancy. She criticized the government for failing to provide basic security to the public, noting the increased attacks on religious institutions such as temples, mosques, shrines and Ahmadiyya homes which have been vandalized and burned. She also urged that the religious freedom and the safety of citizens be ensured for all communities. Additionally, she condemned the ongoing harassment of political leaders and citizens through assaults and arrests. But in a shocking development, ISKCON Bangladesh made a statement dissociating themselves from Chinmoy and said ISKCON Bangladesh is not responsible for his statement and he has been expelled from ISKCON. Let me play out that bite for you.
Chinmoy Krishna Das, চন্দন কুমার ঘর ইসকন বাংলাদেশের মুখপাত্র নন, তাই তার বক্তব্য সম্পূর্ণ তার ব্যক্তিগত। অতএব নীরাজ গৌর দাস, স্বতন্ত্র গৌর দাস ও চিন্ময় কৃষ্ণ দাসের বক্তব্য এবং কৃতকর্মের জন্য কোনোভাবেই দায়ী নয়।
Hindus in Bangladesh continue to face increasing persecution as the government targets ISKCON. The Yunus government has been gunning to ban the religious organization, a move that has raised serious concern about the religious freedom in the country. However, on Thursday, the Bangladesh High Court declined to issue a suo motu order to ban ISKCON, despite a petition filed by lawyer Moiniruzzaman seeking its prohibition and emergency measures in Chittagong and Rangpur. During the hearing, the court noted that the government had already taken measures to address the issue. Additional Attorney General Anik R. Haq and Deputy Attorney General Asaduddin informed the court that the matter had been given the highest priority with 3 cases filed and 33 people arrested. However, the push against ISKCON has found home with leaders of the anti-discrimination students movement calling for a ban on the organization. They have accused ISKCON of being agent of the Awami League, destabilizing Bangladesh and labeling it as a terrorist organization. These allegations were fueled by claims linking ISKCON to the recent murder of lawyer Saiful Islam Alif, which ISKCON leaders have denied, calling the charges baseless and part of a malicious campaign. Meanwhile, India has called upon the Yunus government to ensure safety and security of Hindus in the country. Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar also met Prime Minister Narendra Modi to discuss the unrest and attacks on Hindus in Bangladesh. It led to widespread anger in India also. A mass rally was organized in Kolkata on Thursday by Hindu Jagran Manch. Now on this, I am joined by Subir Bhaumik, author, senior journalist, Suhas Chakma, Director Rights and Risk Analysis. Let me straight away go to Mr. Bhaumik. Mr. Bhaumik, 2 questions to you. One, what has explained that sudden spurt of attack against ISKCON, and why is government going after them like that?
This particular leader, Chinmoy Krishna Das, has been the pivot for organizing Hindu resistance. You see, we have seen attacks on Hindus before, attacks on other minorities before. But Bengali Hindus have not really come out on the streets to, in the way they have done in the last 3 months at any point of time since the independence of Bangladesh. You have a different history. My friend Suhas is here. You have a different history in the Chittagong hill tracks. The Buddhists there, they have fought, an insurgent campaign. But Bengali Hindus have generally, taken all the punishment and basically taken recourse to the easiest option, flee to India. That's what they've done. since 1947 and even after 71. But this time, in the last 3 months, there has been a tendency of Hindus hitting the streets, protesting very aggressively, demanding an end to persecution, attacks on temples and stuff like that. And it's believed that this particular ISKCON leader, Chinmoy Krishnadas, has been has played a pivotal role in this. Now, I would imagine that the Yunus government is in all kinds of trouble. They're facing a lot of public discontent over rising prices, a tottering economy, all kinds of problems related to law and order, action against sort of complete breakdown of law and order, practically a mobocracy taking over. Now, in this situation, the easiest way, and this is something that many ruling people have taken recourse to in South Asia, not just in Bangladesh, make it a religious issue. Turn this whole thing into a communal polarization. So by arresting, it was a calculated move to arrest Chinmoy Das, accuse him of, sedition, so that the Hindus hit the streets. And in a country with 93% Muslim population, if the Hindus are out in the street and aggressively, demanding something, this obviously has the potential to trigger a backlash. So if you cannot handle the major problems of the country, in 3 months, law and order has gone for a toss. False cases have been filed by dozens, against women, all kinds of things. And I can go into details. But for the sake of this, let me tell you that the Yunus government stands completely discredited. Look at the report of the All-Party Parliamentarians Forum of Britain. They have come out with a detailed report in which they have made this allegation that this government is actually a vendetta government. It is using filing of false cases as a political weapon, and they have said many other things. So to take the public attention away from this man has been arrested so that the entire thing takes a communal turn. Because at the end of the day, Yunus, can't be bothered about what people in India think. He has to retain his grip in Bangladesh. And the easiest way for him to do this, in view of his obvious failures in handling the economy, in handling the price front, the law and order thing, in reorganizing the police force, the easiest thing for him and his cohorts is to turn this into a Hindu-Muslim affair, which is what he has done by arresting this man and provoking a situation we saw. There's another thing. The murder of this lawyer, there must be some kind of CCTV footage. Why is the Yunus government completely silent on the identity of those killers?
Okay.
In this whole movement, that we have seen in July and August, and even some people within the government, like Brigadier Sheikh has raised this question, that some of those people believed to be killed by the police were not killed by the police. They were killed by insiders within the movement. Because of the bore of the ammunition used, some of the bullets that hit some of these so-called shaheeds were actually not fired by police. Because Bangladesh police does not use ammunition of this bore. Now, Brigadier Sheikh was handling the home portfolio in this interim government. Moment he said all this, he was removed from that and given the jute, portfolio. So this killing of lawyer Ali is also, in my opinion, a very dicey kind of thing, because most people I have spoken to in Chittagong, and I have enormous amount of sources there, say that ISKCON or Hindus have nothing to do with his killing. This is a malicious lie which is being spread by people who want to communalize the situation.
Mr. Bhaumik, I just need to play out a bite of Mamata Banerjee. She has responded on this issue. Then it's time from a break, and then I'll go to Mr. Suhas Chakma, that why ISKCON has made a statement like this, saying that they have nothing to do with Chinmoy Das. But let me first play out the bite of Mamata Banerjee.
এবং আমরা তো কেউ ঘটনাটাকে সমর্থন করছি না, যে কোনো ঘটনায় যে কোনো ধর্মের ওপরেই হোক না কেন আমরা সেটাকে সমর্থন করি না, কিন্তু এক্ষেত্রে আমাদের ভূমিকা খুব লিমিটেড। তার কারণ এটা হচ্ছে, যেহেতু আমরা আলাদা দেশ, বাংলাদেশ আলাদা দেশ, এটা ইন্ডিয়া গভর্নমেন্ট বাংলাদেশ গভর্নমেন্টের সাথে কথা বলতে পারে, বলে অ্যাকশন নিতে পারেন। আমরা এটুকু বলতে পারি যে আমরা এক্সটার্নাল অ্যাফেয়ার্স পলিসির ব্যাপারে তৃণমূল কংগ্রেসের স্ট্যান্ড হচ্ছে যে যখনই গভর্নমেন্টে থাকুক না কেন আমরা গভর্নমেন্টের স্ট্যান্ডটাকে সাপোর্ট করি। কাজেই আমাদের বক্তব্য খুব পরিষ্কার, কোনো ধর্মের ওপরে, কোনো বর্ণের ওপরে, কোনো জাতির ওপরে কোনো অত্যাচারই আমরা মানি না।
Okay, so before I get into a break, quick response from Mr. Chakma. What happened? Why did that bite come?
Well, it's very clear that they are under tremendous amount of pressure. When you see that your organization is going to be banned as a terrorist organization, then all of them will be prosecuted. What options do you have? And if you look at just nearby in the Chittagong hill tracts, you would see so many people are working with the Yunus government, which Subir had mentioned that the hill tribes, they have fought back. Even those who have fought back, now they are cooperating fully with the Yunus government. So to expect an organization like ISKCON to be different, I think that's not something expected. I think they are under tremendous amount of pressure. I think what we have to remember, it is not only the pressure from the Yunus government. The pressure is actually mainly on the streets. So if you go out wearing a saffron color in Bangladesh, it's most likely that you will be targeted. And the tribal people from the CHT are facing violence, acts of violence, discrimination in the streets in Chittagong and elsewhere. Even the Hindus, though they physically actually look the same, the fundamentalist forces could still identify them and target them. So it's very natural, I think, what the organization had mentioned, because if they are banned as a terrorist organization, you can imagine the number of people who would be, prosecuted as terrorists. And if you look at the case of the Chhatra League, for example, Chhatra League may be involved in violations or in acts of violence. But, there is no more violent organization. The Jamaat Islami is Chhatra Shibi. So that's why I think if you look at the way the Yunus government had treated the Chhatra League and banned them as a terrorist organization, it just takes a day, and Chhatra League possibly they will not arrest anybody, but if you are a Hindu, you will face the music. So that's why I think they issued this statement to distance themselves from Chinmoy Maharaj.
Okay, it's time for a break, but the question which I'll bring on the table for both of you is that how long can Yunus sustain a policy like this, which just simply targets the minority? Or are we witnessing something which happened in 1971? Mr. Bhaumik is here with us, a sort of an encyclopedia when it comes to entire northeastern region, but after a short break.
ग्लोबल समिट में आए सभी साथियों को मेरा नमस्कार। मुझे इस बात की भी खुशी है कि न्यूज 9 इंग्लिश न्यूज चैनल भी लॉन्च किया जा रहा है।
Special congratulations to TV9. Now you are truly becoming global.
And therefore I must congratulate Varun Das ji. He has, in his own way, started an epoch-making trend.
The News 9 Global Summit is the latest example to demonstrate that India and Baden-Württemberg are getting closer in many different respects.
I compliment Mr. Jubali, Mr. Varun Das and Mr. Kasper conceptualizing and organizing this grand platform.
And I really want to thank TV9 Group, and it's a harbinger of many things to come.
India and Lithuania have had diplomatic relations since 1992.
It took us years to discover the potential of each other, so I'm very happy to have a counterpart with whom we work together. Well, India has everything of its own. Aadhaar 2 stage will have a little bit of Lithuanian technology. Lithuanian lasers could be an important component of your success. सब कुछ समझती हूँ, लेकिन इससे अच्छी तरफ सीखना चाहती हूँ. India is my karma bhumi, it's my second home, and I have to say it's just the beginning.
This is The Diplomat.
Let me straight away go to Mr. Bhaumik. Mr. Bhaumik, are we witnessing a recap of what happened with the Hindus between 69 to 71, sir?
The Yunus government, Yunus is the classic face of this entire dispensation. He's a Nobel laureate. The Americans, especially Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, are very fond of him. Not so much Trump, because Trump knows that he put in a lot of funds in Hillary's campaign. And he has said this. Where is that microfinance guy? He wanted me this weekend, He told about visiting Bangladesh television. But Yunus is the classic face of this entire dispensation. The real power in this entire dispensation that we see as the interim administration lies with the Islamic radicals. You will see very obvious pro-Pakistani tendencies, Urdu being brought back, the Liberation War Museum being desecrated. Every attempt has been made to undermine the legacy of 1971. The legacy of secular linguistic Bengali nationalism which gave birth to Bangladesh. Islam did not give birth to Bangladesh. It gave birth to Pakistan. Bangladesh was born on the basis of a strong secular linguistic nationalism, where language played a very important role since 1952 language movement. There is an organized attempt now to bring back Urdu. I have no problem with Urdu. I speak fluent Urdu. But there is a political message. And you see the activity of the Pakistani diplomats, they are sort of quite upbeat. In Sheikh Hasina's time, the Pakistanis were sort of, treated as outcasts, the Pakistani diplomats. Now they have the entire audience. And you see the meeting between Yunus and Pakistani Prime Minister and all that. So there is a very clear attempt, somewhat reminiscent of what we have seen with the military dictators, General Zia and General Ershad. Why? Because they have to handle the Awami League. The Awami League is a huge political party. As one Awami League leader recently told me, we are not, a jute sort of tree. We are a banyan tree. We are there to stay. Regardless of all the torture we faced under Pakistan, under the military dictators, Awami League is not going away anywhere. And at the end of the day, Sheikh Hasina is still alive. So,
Awami League would stay? What's your assessment? What is your assessment? Do you think the Awami League would stay?
Of course the Awami League will stay. I mean, if the Awam, how can the Awami League be finished? Because the Awami League is not just Sheikh Hasina or the Sheikh family. It's not just a few leaders. Like the Congress, it can't be finished in India. It does not depend on the Gandhi family. Congress is not only a political party, it's a way of political thinking, it's a platform. Similarly, Awami League, cannot be finished in Bangladesh. They are under trouble. They have been under this kind of trouble after 1975 when Sheikh Mujibur Rahman with his entire family was killed and the military took over. But the point I'm trying to make here is that here, more than during the time of the military dictators, there's a very strong attempt to bring back the policies, the pre-liberation sort of ethos. There's an organized attempt to bring back the pre-liberation ethos. And now, December is coming. December is the month of victory. It's in December 1971 that the Pakistanis finally surrendered and Bangladesh was born. This is the month when this kind of, nationalist sentiment rises its peak. So this is the time they have arrested this man so that they can communalize the situation, so that, it's not the Bengali identity, it's not the secular identity, it's not the Bangladesh identity, it becomes a Hindu-Muslim issue. Now, Mr. Yunus and his cohorts, particularly the fundamentalists who are behind him, Jamaat-e-Islami, Hifazat-e Islam, Khilafat-e Majlis, Charmanai Pir, his movement, Bangladesh Islami Andolan. And the Chinese, look at them. The Chinese since the other day were pampering the Awami League, they're dealing with them today. A delegation of Islamic political parties, 14-member delegation, they have left for China. Jamaat-e-Islami,
Okay. Okay. So the point, Mr. Bhaumik, you are trying to make is that this is being done for something immediately which the Yunus government wants to make. But then my question to Suhas, to you is, it's like taking the genie out of the bottle. You think that it's going to ship and shape till that particular period of time, but then it may acquire a life of its own. It may become bigger, worse, larger, disproportionate, and takes over the people who have thought that they'll be able to control these sentiments. So ask.
No, I think it has already taken over. I always say one thing: we do not know the worldview of Dr. Yunus. The Westerners believe that because he got the Nobel Prize,
he's an Islamist.
He is somewhat.
He's an Islamist.
He's an Islamist, but in the West, people still think he is somebody who is liberal. He is not liberal. He is a fundamentalist to the core, and that's why he is aligning so easily with the Jamaat-e-Islami. I think the key point here is he wants to hang on to this position for whatever time it takes. Beyond he is permitted. So therefore, I think if you look at it, he is leading the country towards civil war, because he wants to wipe out not only the Awami League, he also wants to ensure that BNP doesn't come to power. So therefore, he is not actually holding elections. He's not allowing, in a way, Tariq Jia to return to the country. Then they will possibly form the political parties 3 months down the line or 4 months down the line. Then once they are organized or in a position to go to elections, they will go to elections, possibly win enough seats where they can form an alliance government with the support of the Jamaat-e-Islami. So in the entire process, what will happen is the Hindus will be targeted like Bangladesh had never seen, possibly even after the independence, because the military, both General Jia and Ershad, of course, they allowed Islam to take, in a way, prominence, but as a matter of policy, they themselves had not attacked the Hindus so violently. Here you have the entire political machinery of Dr. Yunus taking on the Hindus, targeting the Hindus, and in the process, what is happening is the government has run out and it's bankrupt. If you look at the latest ratings by Moody's, which is about a week or 10 days back, and they have the entire banking sector has been rated negative. So basically means nobody is going to come and invest in Bangladesh. So that to distract yourself, which Subir had mentioned, from all the failings, more importantly in the economic sectors, what do? You basically target the Hindus, you make them vulnerable, you target them. So we have a situation where I think the Hindus will be, and of course the tribals will be extremely vulnerable, and they'll face more and more violence. And that's what I think recorded.
I still 5 minutes left on the show. Mr. Bhaumik, can it lead to an exodus?
Well, that's precisely, what has not happened this time. Usually, if there are attacks on Hindus, there is an exodus. It has happened in 2001 when the BNP came to power and there was a pogrom. It has happened before that. When there were riots towards the end of the Ershad regime, it was deliberately provoked because Ershad, the military dictator, was finding it difficult to stay in power in view of a strong popular agitation. But this time, the Hindus have hit the streets. You have to see the mood. They are on the streets. They have said, the big slogan has come up that Kothay Kothay Bangla Desh Ki Tor Baap Dada. We are also son of this soil. This is our country. We are not going to leave this country. So this is the mood. And therefore, the government is coming down heavily on ISKCON. Suhas is right. ISKCON is trying to save itself from this kind of a government action, which will lead to their banning and all that. But point here, let me make it very, very clear. The final point here, which is Bangladesh economy is gone for a toss. Yunus is supposed to be an economist, though he did not win the Nobel Prize in economics. He won it for peace, but he is far from establishing peace in his own country. He is actually, he is actually presiding over an unusual era of turbulence and desperately is trying to stick on to power with the help of fundamentalists who actually don't have much of a vote in Bangladesh. Jamaat-e-Islami's popular vote has never exceeded 10%. You know, it's the two major political parties, the Awami League and the BNP. And Yunus is gone for this -2 formula. He wants both the Begums out, you know, Hasina and Khaled. Suhas is right. It's not just the Awami League which is trying to, because the Awami League was in power, it was the bigger party. And mind you, the Hindu thing is getting attention because of the political dispensation in India and for all this. Don't forget the Chittagong hill tracts, the tribals there, the Buddhist tribals, they are facing worse situation because nothing comes out of the hills. It's a military area. Military dominates that area. You know, there also similar things happen. A Muslim motorcycle thief was beaten to death by his own people, and the tribals were blamed, and the army opened fire on tribals, and tribals were killed. So all kinds of minorities, when Christians have been attacked. Mind you, Karthikeyan, even Sufi mazars have been attacked. Who brought Islam to the Bengal plains? It's the Sufis. And therefore the practice of Islam in the Bengal plains was always marked by a level of tolerance and a syncretic political culture. That this kind of Wahhabi Salafist Islam coming out of the Middle East, these people are trying to bring it, the Jamaat Islami and the other Islamic parties, they are trying to bring it. They are attacking Sufi mazars, they are attacking Ahmadiyyas, they are not just attacking Hindus or Buddhists. They are attacking all kinds of minority dispensation, and Sufis particularly, because the Sufis brought Islam to Bengal plains.
Okay. I'm ready to, Mr.
doesn't have the mandate. He is trying to extend his mandate by establishing different kind of reform committees which will be rejected by the next government. So the so-called reform processes for which he is saying that I need to stay, they are all at the end of the be thrown out by the next elected government, because it's only an elected government which can, you know, bring this kind of reforms. So he will run out of this kind of excuses, and he will not have a place to flee. And I can tell you one thing, Bangladesh will face far more political violence, and many of the advisors in the current government, they will not be able to flee, and they will face the violence in the streets of Bangladesh.
Okay, I think that's a very harrowing picture that Suhas have built for everyone, because what will happen in Bangladesh will have an impact on the entire Northeast and will have an impact on the Indian national security. Thank you, Mr. Chakma. Thank you, Mr. Bhaumik, for joining me on my show. So this is all on the On Point 2. But in the third On Point, we will recap Priyanka